Welcome to Spiritual Changemakers, the podcast that guides you through tough times with practical tools and inspiring stories. I'm Andreea Tamas, your host and the Sacred Transitions Coach. Join us as we hear from spiritual changemakers who have connected with their higher power and overcame adversity. Whether you are navigating a difficult transition or seeking to deepen your spiritual practice, our podcast provides guidance to help you find magic in the change. Come on this journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and transformation with us and unlock your potential to become your best self. So excited to meet with you again, Almira. It's been a while. How are you?
I'm doing great. It is so nice to connect with you. When you met, there was something. So it's so nice to do this after such a long time.
I know. And please share about just a little bit about yourself, your magic. Like, what do you do? What are you about?
Yeah. So when you and I first connected, we said it's about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was really working, I guess, more in a masculine business. So I had multi-seven-figure business and leveraging my business experience, everything that I learned, and really teaching what we now consider more of the masculine, the strategy side. And there are, of course, a number of entrepreneurs and business people who are saying, I actually need that. I need to understand strategy or cash flow in my business, even just how do I simply make more money? And that's actually areas of expertise are. I can literally tell you how to make $10,000 more in a month, which people love. It is amazing. But my personal journey has really moved me and now my work into the feminine, so much like yours. And so I would say my work is a blend of the masculine and feminine, but starting in the feminine, the end result, not end results, but the end emotions or the state of being that we want to be. And moving through that is that also looking at the business and creating it as you desire. So perhaps it's, I'm even, as you can tell, I'm working through like a brand update, whatever it might be as I figure into it, but it's really the blend of the feminine and the masculine and alignment. So, and tell me more about you and what you're up to.
Yeah, so I'm a conscious money and breathwork coach. And I've been taken on this very deep journey with money. Because my awakening and my spiritual journey actually started around money because I had this near-death experience here in US back in 2015, and I had no medical insurance, and I ended up having tens and thousands of dollars in medical bills. And after that, I was so mad on God, on the hospital, on everyone that I'm like, I cannot believe now I have to work so hard just to pay the medical bills. So that's where my consciousness was at the moment. And I didn't realize only like 1 year or so after that I valued money more than my life. And in that moment, I created a shift. I don't know how it happened, but I told to myself that as long as I'm alive, I can make as much money as I want, but no amount of money can buy my life. And I started on this personal journey of actually reading books around money.
Amazing.
And I went on these different paths of like making my first 100K, then buying my first house, and then starting traveling the world, and then getting into financial debt on credit cards. And I went on all of these different roller coasters around money. And I remember it was the first time ever when I got myself in financial debt. I never ever in my life I dealt with it. And I remember feeling so worried and so much shame and guilt around it that it was just taking over everything. And that made me go even deeper into the energy of money, the psychology, what is it that really takes over us so much that we give our power away to this thing called money. And now I'm super happy to say that I freed myself out of that. And I know I'm here to support other women, especially women, to really live, a life where they feel abundant within, no matter what they have in their bank account. And that's the main thing I would say.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love this all. So take it one step back. And how would you define consciousness? Because I do think that word is, thrown around.
Mhm.
Not sure that people understand it. Even, the words embodiment. Or I was
Mhm.
on another podcast episode with someone last week, and the words even somatic. Again, there's all these words that are
Yeah,
thrown.
yeah, yeah.
And so maybe just a little definition of your understanding of the word
Mhm.
conscious, but then also what you mean about money consciousness.
Yeah, so there are also different charts that it shows what is your level of consciousness.
Hmm.
And it's a frequency, it's an energy, it's a vibration that you tap into. That's how I perceive it. That is my understanding. And then it's like, what level is your consciousness mean? Are you gonna tap into like the fear, the scarcity, and so on? That's a consciousness.
Hmm.
Or you can choose to tap into a higher consciousness, a higher vibration, which is love,
Yeah.
which is appreciation, gratitude, and so on.
I love that because I've always understood it to be an awareness, which, yes, it is. It could be also that I didn't get this in life. It's not fair. It's a sense of injustice and victim. But then there's creator consciousness, which is actually quite neutral. And from what I understand, it's love and also authenticity based because authenticity is a higher vibration than love. But I love what you say about consciousness being associated with the emotional scale. Because if
Mhm.
emotions create the vibration, create the frequency, like
Yeah.
that finally makes so much sense. So everybody hearing this on both of our podcasts, Andrea has just given you the biggest life-changing sound bite that you could ever have. So everybody better be listening in.
Yes, and then you ask me like what is the money consciousness? Now
Mhm.
like the consciousness of money. So just think about the vibration, because the way I look at money, it's an energy.
Mhm.
Money, it's an energy that you get to tap into or not. And then when you look at the money, like at what vibration again is the money at? Is the vibration of gratitude, is the
Mm.
vibration of appreciation. Like the same as, like, I like to look at money also as your partner, let's say. And the more you love it, the more you appreciate it, the more it is going to show up in your life. But if you are afraid of it, if you are worried, if you're like, there is never enough, I never have enough, and then you are just constantly in that energy around money, then the money is just going to stay away from you, because it's going to be like, why would I even want to be around you if you don't appreciate me, if you don't want me?
Nobody wants a complainer.
Nope.
Does money want to be in a relationship with me? Much like a friend or relationship.
Hmm.
Does would you want to be around me? And it's funny because I was talking to somebody who's a relationship coach the other day, and she was saying the first question a therapist had asked her was, would you want to be in a relationship with yourself? And
Hmm.
she was like, oh my god, no. And so you have to clean up your side of the street. If
Yep.
everything energetic, consciousness, whatever, it's about ourselves. We are literally the creator, taking radical responsibility for our frequency, our vibration, our thoughts, our beliefs, everything. And when you can victim blame or whatever it might be, or you can just say, you know what, enough. And if I'm the creator, I have to clean this up. Because in a relationship, you can only keep your side of the street clean. And also that means emotional regulation. You wouldn't like throw all of these stories at a partner and be like, this is your fault and this is your fault and all of my stories, and my parents didn't raise me the money, so I don't get it. And you would never blame money. And so there's like an emotional maturity, I think, to money as well. And that comes into the conscious. That's my perspective. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and it's the same, with around money, like cleaning your side of the story
Hmm.
to see, okay, what do I really believe about money?
Yeah.
How do I feel around money? What are the beliefs that I took on from my family, from the society, and do they serve me?
Hmm.
And then it's not just gonna be a thing that you discover it and that's it. Your
Yeah.
relationship, it's shifted and changed forever. That would be amazing. But
Yes.
it's a constant awareness that we are talking about, a constant like intention that you have to put in when you interact with money.
Hmm. Yeah.
Or when you avoid them, because that's another thing, you can actually just ignore them and avoid them. And that's what I used to do after I got myself in debt. I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm just ignoring everything,
Mhm.
all of my bank accounts. I don't want to see them. And again, how do you expect to have a partnership if you
Mhm.
ignore him?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. And trust. I think that's another part of it. When, again, going back to that other episode I taped the other day, was that as we move into this new paradigm, this new way of the world in 2027, trust, self trust, trust in receiving when you cannot see it, like there's no evidence, and trusting, receiving without evidence, aligning in, all in 5D, and trust to receive, and being in the healthy masculine or being in a relationship with a healthy masculine. Because I have asked women, okay, so say I asked you about receiving from a girl, what if your best friend gave you a present? They're like, oh my God, I love her. She's amazing. I'm like, okay, talk to me about receiving from a man. And it's like, this whole, physical thing happens and the stories. And it's just like, okay, so what is that about healing, about receiving and receiving in, from the masculine? And I think that's been a really interesting one. And
Mm-hmm.
also trusting and relying that I can receive and that it will happen. And then kind of disconnecting my stories of the masculine or the masculine who let me down. That was an example of a masculine. And if he is a mirror to teach me, then what am I learning? What am I changing? What am I evolving? And then being like, oh my gosh, that is not that example of him. He is a spiritual lesson. And he's just here to show me what the sacred and healthy masculine is not. Do you know how we see contrast?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is the contrast that I'm seeing, and it's not what I desire. And then it's just like, oh, cool. I just have to align with healthy masculine, both in myself, my own sacred masculine, but trusting and now understanding that healthy masculine is not about pushing, arguing, being mean, kind of how sadly we've seen some men in our
Mm-hmm.
world operate. And that is not masculine, actually. It's not at all. And sacred masculine just wants to pour into a woman.
Yeah. And also going back to the trust, it's really trusting that when you attract that type of man, because I've had those relationships as well, when you attract that type of man, it's because your energy, it's pretty much at a similar consciousness, at a similar level, and that you attracted to help you heal, to help you see within yourself what is there to still be revealed so you can heal, so you can be more connected, more with the divine, with God, with the universe. And not making it mean that you are a bad person or anything that you attracted, but really seeing it as a gift. And I have been studying Kabbalah now for a couple of months and just been so transformative for my life. One of the things that I've learned there is that there is no such a thing as random challenge. We are choosing. Every single challenge that we experience is chosen by our soul in order to evolve and in order to grow. So can you find a blessing in that challenge? Can you find a gift, the value, and to see that, wow, like how much I have grown and how this challenge has taken me on this path, and finding the divine in it.
That rock bottoms are actually, there was a sentence I used and I was trying to remember, but it was basically about how a rock bottom is not one at all. It's actually just starting a beautiful new garden. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like you are digging and you're finding the fresh soil, almost like digging a well. Oh, it's run dry. And now we're going to find a fresh and new water source. And it's not just new soil, it's new fertilizer, it's new plants. How do I have my own garden and my own garden of wealth within? And just those concepts of our beliefs can either be weeds or seeds. Again, but
Mm-hmm.
it's our relationship. Because when you find your person, you don't imagine you're going to be the worst version of yourself. So why would you just wouldn't think about it? And something it also said to me is that in relationships, we never plan or think about what we might say when we're going to have a difficult conversation. but you would totally plan out that conversation if it was with your manager. So
Mm,
why aren't we putting that intention into all of our relationships, including our love relationships, family relationships, but also why not into our money relationship? You know, well, fine, money didn't show up for you. What is it in me that I need to clear out as opposed to screaming at money? Because I think we've all done that, anger with
yes.
money, frustration with money. But I love how you point out to the consciousness of it, because anger just grows anger on the conscious.
Hmm.
And I think that I love how you are connecting your understanding of consciousness to the emotional skill. Again, I saw it from awareness and being aware from a really spiritual perspective as well, because I also realized I think I have spiritual blocks. And if money is spiritual, I don't just need to clear up money, I need to clear up the spiritual side of it.
Yes.
And me and God are having some conversations. Yeah.
Exactly. And just, even when we struggle per se with money, that's when we are invited to deepen our trust and to have that certainty,
Hmm.
that, okay, it is happening for me. And
Yes.
now I am guided because for me, for example, I was putting a lot my worth based on how much I was having in my bank account. And
Mm,
when my bank account was at minus or very low, I didn't feel worthy. I
mhm.
didn't feel good enough.
Yeah.
So learning to separate also your worth from how much money you have, it's huge
Yes.
because that doesn't define you, doesn't define you as a person, as a human being, as a spiritual being having here a human experience.
And I think on the flip side of it is that there's a judgment on wealthy people and that they are shallow
Mm,
or hoarding and stuff. So also when you're looking at it from that perspective, it needs to be separated. Those are the people that they are. And also in this new era of money consciousness. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm trying to pick apart what it is that I don't like or that makes me uncomfortable. And I was like, you know what? I could spend my entire day looking at the blocks and all the things that I don't like because I'm trying to figure myself out. Or I could just say, you know what? Forget it all. And I choose, I align with. And I think that's also what you're teaching. And correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're also teaching the alignment of abundance because you
yeah.
could spend your entire life looking at blocks. And this has actually become quite a,
Hmm.
my two big soapboxes right now are the patriarchy. Don't even get me started. And, like there's so much like divine rage, divine feminine rage in it, but it's also the personal development industry that has spread the message of blocks. And you could spend your entire life trying to figure out what is in your childhood that did this. And 100%, there's big little T traumas there. I'm
Yeah.
not denying that. But what about just moving into alignment? Because actually, that is also where the quantum happens. That's where the time collapse happens, is actually in alignment and consciousness and changing all of that. It happens. The emotion is quantum,
Hmm.
vibration, quantum. So you're really trying to do it kind of like, fuck the blocks.
Yeah, I love that because I've done it and I know many people have done it that we go on our healing journey, and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna just
Heal me.
uncover and clear all of
Yeah.
my blocks.
Yeah.
And then we remain stuck
Mhm.
there. And not just that we remain stuck there, but we also stay at a lower vibration because we are in this constant deep work of like, oh my God, and let me dig there and let me see that and then I've seen it becoming like an addiction as well because you become addicted to that state of let me feel sorry for myself, let me feel sorry for my past self, when in fact I remember I was to one of Regan's and Juan's spa talks at Mind Valley University, and they said you do not need to know the source in order to heal. Adopt the belief that you are healing at any given moment, that you are constantly healing, and releasing. Adopt that. And then, as you were saying, work on aligning, work on focusing on your desires.
What I love so much, and I mean, it's heartbreaking to watch, but like Juanpa had his stroke, right? Which
Yeah.
is mind blowing considering how healthy that man is.
Mm-hmm.
The sheer, not determination, but it's almost like it makes perfect sense that a man who's in such flow with life that and be so healthy would have this stroke happen to him because he's the perfect person to show about how you can heal yourself. You know,
Mm.
it's like we suffer, or our greatest things we love about ourselves, which for him is health, will also be our greatest journeys. And
Yeah.
it's kind of a reminder not to take it for granted, which he didn't, but also the progress, but also the joy about moving a toe, you know? And
Mm.
the people that he's surrounded with and the positivity, because he's just, that is the true resilience. You know, it's not pushing, it's not forcing through. Again, he's doing it in a divine masculine way. And it's beautiful to see it happening. And literally the gratitude that he has for the moment and for life. And yeah, it's just beautiful to witness what he is doing.
Yeah, and I haven't followed his journey like so closely. I do know about his incident, but I mean I've met him several times also in person, and you can see the radiance, you can see the energy is like such a pure soul, and it's here to serve. And as you said, yes, sometimes the biggest teachers, no, the ones that are here to serve the humanity the most are going to be faced with some of the biggest challenges. And I I was part of a course from one of my mentors, Melanie Ann Layer, maybe you know her, and she was mentioning how leaders are bridges,
Mhm.
and the bridges are tested.
Yeah.
And that really struck with me, you know,
Mhm.
because so many times I also like sometimes, yeah, I still used to ask myself, I'm like, oh my God, like another challenge, and like how much
I can't, no more.
can I still take, you know? And sometimes my mind would still go there, you know? We are still humans, no
Yes.
matter how much work we do.
Mm.
But then, like, after I also heard that phrase, I really, like, it deepened, and I understand that, okay, I am here to serve. I know I'm here to serve millions.
Yep.
And because of that, I will be tested over and over and over again
Yep.
for me to be able to hold this woman that I'm here to serve, for them to cross on the other side.
Yes. Yes.
And that is so beautiful.
I just, sorry to interrupt. I just want to say that word hold is so key because we can be her, but also it's like money is asking us to hold it. It's
Yeah.
not to learn about wealth through spending or whatever. And actually, it's funny because this morning I had quite the breakthrough. I was like, wow, to me, wealth is having enough money to spend. But wealth is actually created through what you hold, right?
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
I was like, my work is to hold because I've created millions before in my businesses. But when I became conscious to trying to like to cleaning up my relationship with money, I haven't made any money and it's the most bewildering thing. And so
mm-hmm.
obviously there was in this new paradigm of money, there's a lot for me to learn. But yeah, it was just interesting is that it's not just teaching us to be wealth or just we can all be wealthy, but hold on, can you hold the vibration of wealth?
Mm-hmm.
Hold the consciousness of wealth, and that's a big one. That's also what Regan teaches through her energetic check-ins, but that is just part of it, you know, is that having the commitment, especially in this day and age of immediate gratification, you know, like
Yeah.
I want this, I'll get an app, but like the actual work is holding that vibration, which yeah, we don't, I don't know, sometimes I think I don't have the attention span. You know, our attention spans are like fleas. They're kind of like,
Mhm.
and then you're like, "Oh, I gotta hold this." That's the work. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's so beautiful that you mentioned that. And you know, like, what is wealth? Like,
Mhm,
if there is to define wealth, what it is, and it's something very individualistic for
mhm. Yeah.
everyone. And I invite those that are listening to define what wealth means for you. And the idea is also to really look at, in general, how do I feel like having money, not having money,
Mhm.
holding, you know, not holding. How do you feel? Because you can have and hold a lot of money, but then Even like the most richest people on earth, they are millionaires. And even Oprah shared that she was having sleepless nights because she was afraid she would lose it all.
God.
And this is where it comes at, okay, scarcity, it's not, it's a mindset, you know, it's a mindset, it's energetic. It's not about the numbers, because there are so many people who have so much in their bank account and they are so unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I was reading in the book, The Soul of Money. I don't know if you read that book. Oh my God. And she shared this perspective, how she saw the Mother Teresa, and it happened, this incident, that she was like, oh my God, like on top of the world, you know, to meet her in person and be with her. And then this rich couple, they were in India. This rich couple came and they were like very rude, and they're like, we're just gonna take picture with her. And just pretty much the way she perceived it, it was that they did not respect Mother Teresa. And then she was so consumed about the whole thing that she could barely enjoy the rest of her time with Mother Teresa. And she was like, I cannot believe how much they disrespected her, you know? So she was so like affected by it. And then later on, she said she wrote a letter to Mother Teresa, and she explained to her about how she felt and about the situation. And Mother Teresa replied to her and said that the same compassion you have for the poor, the same compassion bring for the rich. They are still the children of God. There is no difference between them. And just because they are rich doesn't mean they don't have their struggles. Their struggles are just different, because they can feel lost. They lose the, you know, they are lonely. They have different type of challenges. So can you bring the same compassion to rich people? And wow, like that was mind blowing for me, because I never ever thought about bringing compassion to rich
Rich
people.
people. Yeah. And it's funny, like when you were saying this, I'm like, huh. So what do I think about love and being rich? And especially as a woman, you know, under patriarchal systems, we're told um, you can have everything, but you can't have everything at once. But
Mm-hmm.
isn't that just one, patriarchal, but two, isn't that the nervous system? Because you should be able to have everything at once, and you can hold everything at once, and you show up intentionally and you're able to hold it. So why can't you have love and money at the same time? And I think there's also enough stories about there about how powerful women are single. And like we've seen it, you know, and funny enough for me, like I'm on the list of the world's top female entrepreneurs. I'm on Canada's list of top 100% top 100 female entrepreneurs. Business and make you 40 under 40. And so you either look at it from two perspectives. I'm divorced many years ago, and then I'm also not with the father of my child. So there's two ways of saying this. Either my body's upper limiting, or again, the patriarchy. I can have success,
Mm-hmm.
but not family or love, or that I emasculate men. Like there's so many stories with this. And how often are we actually seeing examples of 7, 8-figure, 9-figure business owners who actually have very healthy relationships? And it could be our nervous systems. It could be patriarchy saying, you know, we can't have it all, or the examples of successful women who are divorced, or like Oprah, she loves being single. And honestly, I think that there's something to that about the freedom of, you know, singlehood.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of friends who've had children on their own and they're thriving. Like they love not having to, even just to have a conversation about where they want to take the child, or have to do in-laws or things like that. And there is a certain amount of freedom in it. And again, I look to the patriarchy, and we have literally been told the story, because when I examined the conversation or the teachings of marriage, that a woman cannot survive by herself. I mean, one, she couldn't, you know, she couldn't get a credit card until the 80s, or a mortgage or whatever. But again, you walk it back, and the disempowerment and the erasure of the feminine. So in a lot of ways, no wonder we're just working through all of this right now, because we've never had the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
But it's even mind-boggling. Like the world's first banks were actually priestess temples, and the world's first financiers were priestesses. And so the kings would go to the temples to give the money to the priestesses to hold, and they would also ask them for business and financial advice before they made any business decisions. Like that was the woman's role. And so again, dialing it back to the start of everything is that there's this disempowerment with money that is actually not true whatsoever. It's patriarchy has put it in there. Mary Magdalene was actually very rich. She was not a prostitute. She was Jesus's equal, like their union was the most godlike. She was the female Christ and they did have a child. And so the Da Vinci Code is actually totally true. Um, and that's just mind blowing. And so, again, coming back to money or about women and relationships and having it all, it's the fact that we're getting that wake up call right now is mind boggling because it's always been there. We've just been erased or asleep
Conditioned.
the programming. And I just think, wow, like, holy fuck.
Yeah, and it's such an exciting time to be
Mhm.
alive. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so excited because the world is just like progressing at such a fast, rapid rate in this moment, like with the AI that it's
Mhm.
so big and growing so fast. Like our worlds, the way they look right now, I don't think they will ever look the same
No,
anymore. And I don't think it's gonna take long, honestly, by
no.
the way it's advancing and progressing.
Mhm.
So I'm actually super excited because I see so many opportunities and possibilities and just so much freedom that it comes with that. Because those that are afraid of AI, like, I don't know what is your take on it, but it's like you are afraid of progression.
Yes.
That's what it means right now when you are afraid of AI and when you start looking at it that it's actually going to free ourselves up so much and we're gonna move from like 5 working days to probably 2 or 3 working days and the rest to actually have a freaking life and not just work. It's so
I
exciting.
know. I know. In 2009, when I'd set up my PR agency, my business partner, we'd merged our two smaller consultancies and we decided to be virtual. And people's response to it, they were just like, that's weird. We were virtual and used contract gig workers. But you can imagine in 2009, people were like, what?
Yeah.
Like, or they're like, they must not be successful because they can't afford an office. And we're just like, no, we'd rather just have the money. And we really worked on having what do they call them now? Distributed team, whatever. We called it a virtual team, but like we had systems and processes, but we also like, to ensure that people felt connected through virtual. And then we ended up getting office space because one of our young millennials said, "Oh, I think it'd be great for the team or to like feel more connected or to learn being around each other." But then funny enough, she's like, "I actually learned more when I worked from home because I didn't have anybody to ask questions." I was like, "You owe me 50,000
Mm.
a friend, girlfriend." But now, just like, look at where the world has gone. And it was funny because I was like, oh my God, if we move to a 2, 3 day working week, like what's going to happen to the big corporations? And I'm like, why do I actually care? Like, I've always been a lifestyle entrepreneur person. I
Mm.
do believe that, like, I love working from home, throwing in laundry, and especially as an independent mother. You know what? I never use the term single mother because that is a conditioning, a financial
Mm.
condition. But as an independent mother, it's just like, I need to get this done or I need to throw in the laundry or whatever. Like I get so much done. And also being an independent mother of a 7-year-old boy, like my brain just needs a break at times. So I want to be home and I don't want to be around other people. I need some solitude. He's wonderful, but very busy. But I love being able to just handle everything. I don't have a
Mm.
mountain of a to-do list. And apps are there to make our lives easier. Like I Instacart my groceries and stuff like that. But AI is there to make our lives easier.
Yeah.
You are still stuck in an old paradigm, just as we are energetically in an old paradigm or a new one. But if you are still stuck in being a Luddite, this is meant to make us more forward. I do think that people will have more freedom. People are
Mhm.
actually going to have more money. I love using AI in my marketing. It's just,
Yeah.
it's amazing because I'm sitting there and being like, oh my God, I don't know what to write. And I think
Yeah.
it's like, it's opened up my creativity and it's actually opened up my ability to speak because
Mhm.
a podcast episode and I'll be like, I don't know what to say or I don't know how to say. And my AI actually bought it from another coach. Hers is coded to my human design and my gene keys. And it's amazing because it knows how to speak like me and it knows what my pearl is and how
Wow, I love that. I need to know about that. I want to know about that.
yes, it's Elisa Canali. And we can actually, but you and I can
Yeah,
both
we
put it.
can put it in the show notes.
Yep. And I have a referral code, so if people want, use mine.
Amazing.
But it's honestly, it is coded to your gene keys and sorry, to your human design, your gene keys, but it does make you look into your pearl, your brand essence, your pearl
Mhm.
how and where you create your money. And so again, it just gives you human design is not meant to be a checklist. Again, it's an alignment. And also I find gene keys are very much about like the soft feminine alignment. It's where's the gifts, the emotional, like
Mhm.
the energetic gift. Are you in the shadow, in the gift? How does it unlock? And so I think the gene keys have been absolutely fascinating as well. So yeah, Elisa's, or she actually goes, it's the Ellie Canali. Again, it'll be in the show notes. But I love how she has programmed the AI to sound
Mm.
like me and to be me because I'm a great talker, speaker. I'm not a great writer. And so it's just unlocked this level of creativity. It's made me better.
Oh my God. I remember like when I started my business in 2019 and how much I was struggling to create anything because I was like also
For
overthinking
things
everything and the perfectionism. And it would take me
like
hours to create something. And what can I say about putting a landing page together?
that.
No freaking way, like
Yeah.
weeks. And
Yes.
now, like with the power of AI, like talking to it and having it like your team member, that's how I look at it, and brainstorming and having this back and forth, and it's like boom, you can create at such a rapid speed, and I love it.
I love it. And also, like when I have questions, especially because I'm a projector, our energy type is just so different from everybody else. So I've been trying to unlock, funny enough, I've been trying to unlock money and prosperity and things like that. And so I kind of use it as my late night life coach. When I like at 10 o'clock
Hmm.
trying to figure something out. So I'll ask my chat GPT and then it will be like, do this, this, and this. And here's your somatic practice. Here's your affirmations. And then we'll actually put together a PDF or a daily ritual. And
Yeah.
it like set it up in a Canva design. And I'm just like, this is amazing.
Hmm.
Think that people who become like AI expert programmers, I think they're the ones. Like I just think about like AI replacing VAs, but VAs can take more clients on.
Yeah, and do other things, that AI doesn't. Like I know one of my previous VAs, she started doing funnels, which like AI is not gonna just build your funnel
Yeah.
at the moment. So
Yeah.
it's also for those that are like, oh my God, AI is taking my job. It's like probably it's a moment for you to redirect and like, yeah, go higher and look like, advance in
Yeah.
your career.
Totally. Trusting life and the universe, because you've certainly
Yeah.
had challenges in the past. Oh my gosh, even 4 years. Like it's been a ride for you. So how do you even maybe even just grief? I think people are also
Mm.
experiencing a lot of grief and there's a lot of grief in the collective. But how do you trust in the universe? And sometimes it is hard with so much grief and personal grief and collective grief and anger and all things happening in the world. How do you trust? How do you trust uncertainty and kind of how do you move forward? Because I think some people are getting kind of stuck in it.
Yeah, and that's such a beautiful question, and it's definitely something I've been through and still moving through a lot. But one of the things that helped me trust and have this faith, bringing
Mhm.
in the faith that okay, this is happening for me, is one of the things was to just remind myself that I am a spiritual being, to don't get so attached to my humanness, to what is happening in my human experience, and to remember that okay, this is the play I chose for myself in order to grow in my next level, for my spiritual growth, for my evolution.
Yeah.
And reminding myself that, okay, God loves me, the universe loves me,
Mhm.
and everything that happens is good because it happens for me.
Mhm.
No matter if in this moment I'm mad about it, no matter if it's hard, no matter if it's painful, I know it is happening for me.
Yeah.
And trusting that God wants well for me. The
Yeah.
universe wants well for me, and He wouldn't do anything to harm me.
Yeah.
And that every every challenge, every loss, because
Mhm.
there is no such a thing as loss, actually. It's just the illusion of loss,
Yeah. Yeah.
because the energy is never lost. It's just
Not in physical.
transferred. It's just, so there is no such a thing as loss. And I was reading in a book and I did this exercise where was saying, okay, right now, what do you perceive as you lost? Like maybe someone, your job, something, whatever it is that you perceive as loss, then write what are the traits of that person or job and so on that you feel you lost, and then write down where did you find those traits in someone or something else, where do they went.
Mhm.
Because for me, for example, I lost my life partner, I lost my dad physically, like close
Mhm.
people to me in a very short span of time. And then when I did the exercise, I was like, wow, it actually, the traits that my partner had, it came through that person and it came through that person and it came in that situation.
Mhm.
And the energy was just transferred to
Mm.
other people and situations. And
Uh-huh.
that's such a beautiful way to look at it and to understand that we never lose. And
Yeah.
I love that, like that mindset and that belief
Yeah.
that we never lose.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And yeah, because I think that there's, when I have my moments and it's just like, wow, when I think of myself as a child or an adolescent, like I didn't expect to be divorced or I didn't expect to not be married to the father of my child and live happily ever after. And, for my child to grow up in two homes, nobody expects that. And so I've definitely had my moments like, I cannot believe this has happened to me, which is allowed. You need to, because
Mm-hmm.
need to acknowledge you're human because otherwise that is just bypassing.
Yes.
But if I had to start being like, how many times am I going to continue asking that question? And at what point am I just going to say, what else am I getting out of this situation? Like if I stayed with my ex-husband, I wouldn't have met my son. And honestly, this child is just hilarious. I talk about my kid all the time on this podcast. Like the stuff that he says to me is ridiculous. We went for my parents' lunch. It was their anniversary, so we took them to lunch. And then after lunch, Matai at 6, he was like, "Was that an anniversary, Mom? That was really boring. Why would you want me to be bored?" And I'm like, seriously, really? This is what you get out of it? And he's just like, I just don't understand why people have anniversaries because they're really boring. And I'm like, fair enough. Like he's such a mouth on it. He's such a character. And I wouldn't have this munchkin in my life. And, I also get so much time with him. Again, as a non-specific manifester, somebody had said, well, okay, if you and your ex are going to have him 1 week on, 1 week off, what is it that you want it to feel like? And I was like, spacious and loving. And it really does feel like that.
Mm.
You get him all these extra times and whatever, and we have so much fun, and I get to be the fun mom. And so I just think is that the question actually needs to be just like you said, how can I grow from this? This is happening to me. What am I meant to soften into and to actually receive that's behind this? And I think that is such a beautiful place to come from because there is so much more there than you can ever imagine. Like I could not have imagined the fun, hilarious, goofy relationship that I have with my son, especially because like dads tend to be more goofy, not the moms.
Mm-hmm.
Our relationship is so goofy, so hilarious, and I could never have imagined that it would be this good. Again, probably because of the gender roles, and we're there for survival. Dads are there for goofiness, and our relationship has just grown so much. Is it exactly like? Does it look like I want to? No, but it feels way better, and
Mm.
that's the softness and the sweetness.
Yeah, and probably even like the idea that you have in your mind that does it look how I want to? Probably it's another conditioning,
Mm,
from the society that this is what I've seen, this is what I've been told, so it should be and look in this way.
yeah. I actually got a lot of comfort, and I can't remember where I heard of her, but there is a woman who does baby readings. And so she can read children up to 10 years old. And so I was saying, like, there was just like so much grief in my heart and upset, I guess. And she says a lot of children who are being born in this day and age did not actually come to parents to be together. And
Mm.
they chose parents who were not meant to be together. And I'm like, again, the other perspective, or it's like when you've got a really horrible person in your life and they say that actually on the other side, that person's your best friend. I do love these other perspectives because it does open your awareness and your consciousness to what is the love behind it. And so going back to the money conversation, what am I lovingly learning about myself? What can I unlock? God wants me to be wealthy. I just need to be the
Yes.
one. God is standing there with hands open.
Yep.
Like, God is standing there. It's up to me to be able to step into that receivership. God God can't change me. I'm the only one who can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the universe
Yes.
reflection of us. I think that's also been such a massive learning is that actually God doesn't give you anything. God gives you love, but it's actually up to us. And so if the universe is literally a reflection of us, we're not getting money because there's something in me that's not allowing in money.
Mm-hmm.
So loving, it's not giving me anything because I'm not asking for anything. I have no standards. I have such low standards. It can't give me anything. So until I raise my money standards and my vibration of money, the universe has no idea to where to meet me because the universe only speaks in frequency and the highest
Yeah.
frequency is love. And so it literally is on me. It is on me. And I can't be yelling at God like, please help me change my financial situation. It literally resides with me.
Yeah. So I would say don't yell at God, but
Yeah.
pray to God.
Yeah.
And one prayer that I have learned through Kabbalah is don't pray for your manifestation. Don't pray like, God, give me more money. Yeah.
Mm,
God, give me my partner. God, whatever it is that you desire. Don't pray for the final manifestation that you want,
mm,
because your manifestation, if you desire it, it's already there. It's like
yeah.
it's waiting to enter into your field. It's just your field is not ready for it. So the prayer to actually be around the blockages, for you to have revealed what are your blockages or what are your challenges, what is it that you don't see, in order for you to have revealed your manifestation.
Yes. So when you're asking from, please God, give me, you are literally asking from lack. That's
Mm-hmm.
manifesting from lack or manifesting from your wounds. Oh, please God, give me a good man. I just want to be loved. That's your
Yeah.
wound. Or please God, just give me a good man. It's from lack. And so you literally are, thank you, God, for the love of my life because you have it. And God is just giving you more and giving you more. Like you have to have your vibration work first. It's a co-creation.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another thing I was like, oh my God, I'm not co-creating anything. I was like, please God, hand me abundance. But I was like, but I'm part. The universe is probably dying to do its part, but the universe can't act until we ask. But the universe cannot act until it has the frequency. It's like there's a frequency hit. It's like
Yeah.
almost you need to turn on the light for the universe. And until you turn on that light, saying, I already have it, not please give it to me, but it's just like, I don't know, maybe it's the light at the end of the tunnel, whatever it might be. But until you flash that frequency, if I have it, the universe cannot match you in the way that you want. It can match you with
Mm-hmm.
nothing. It can absolutely match you with nothing. But until you say, this is actually what I desire, and you are it, and you are embodying as such, the universe can't do anything, not because it doesn't want to. It just has no clue.
Yeah, and what comes up as you're sharing this, I'm like, I kind of hear people asking, okay, but how do I raise my
Mm,
vibration?
yes.
How do I become that match to
Yes.
my desires? And I would love to share some, and I would love to see what has helped you to raise
Yes.
your and for me, what has worked the best is definitely connecting and being in nature,
Mhm.
praying, meditating, dancing, really putting a song and just dance. Connect with other people that are at a higher vibration, that maybe have already what you desire.
Mhm.
And these are journal, but don't journal on your blocks. Journal on
Yes.
your desires.
Fires.
Yes,
Huh.
visualizations. Visualize, your most abundant future, and then act. Don't just visualize, but then take the action, take the aligned action, as we were talking. Because if we just stay and pray and hope
Oh
that we
God.
are just gonna attract it, but not act on
Yes.
it, not much is going to shift.
Yes. Yes. It's like that story about the man who kept praying to God to win the lottery. And God was like, well, buy a lottery ticket. Like I can't
Yes.
help you. But it's interesting because the way that you're talking about it, it's very much a generator or Gen way of doing it. Whereas projectors, and I'm sure even manifestors, because manifestors don't have the defined
Centers.
sacral, but ours are actually, we're 90% energetic alignment and 10% doing.
Mm.
So it is actually like nervous system overkill and like collapses the nervous system because we're actually doing too much. And so then we're just like, oh my God. And we've been literally collapse your own nervous system through manifestation. So it's, yes, it's about being, but it's also, for me, I find it's actually very neutral is when I manifest. So I said that, when my ex and I weren't together, I'm like, I'm going to see my son every day. So the universe lined up and my kid would have activities every day and I would see him. Then a few months ago, his Taekwondo schedule changed from like 4 days a week to 2 days a week. And I said, okay, I am a woman who sees my son on Wednesdays and Fridays as well. Universe aligns. Literally, my ex will do business trips on Wednesdays. I'll get a WhatsApp message saying, can you take him on Friday? Like it literally just does align. And I find it's probably just the neutrality because there's another woman, Christina Lacare. I'll share her details as well. I love her point is that we are already the creator and we are already, one, we're always manifesting, but two, we are already receiving. Like we are perfect as we are. We are the
Mhm.
biggest receivers we can ever imagine. But it is the ego and the mind who's putting all of this bullshit and all the blocks and whatever. And when you actually unblock yourself, but it's not, she's like, I do not rewire my subconscious. I don't go through my blocks. I am just in my most natural, authentic state as a creator, as an essence, as an energy. Everything naturally comes in.
Mm.
And doesn't like she just says, I know what frequency I need to be in. And it's so much about the frequency and kind of not listening to your mind. It's very observation of your mind. It's very neutral. Like when my ex and I were breaking up, I was just like, I love my house. 2 days later, I get an email from my ex saying that he's found a new place to live. And it's just so easy that's another thing that I've had to realize about money is that, wow, I'm making this a hell of a lot fucking harder. Like,
Mm.
how do I manifest? My house is 3 million. Yeah. So when I found this house in 2020, I was doing a Mind Valley program. Michael Bernard Beckwith, I can't remember what it was called, but it
Live
was,
visioning, probably.
yeah, yes, probably. And he had us do a color meditation. And so I sat down and I was like, there was just so much going on. It was Christmas. I was, wanting to do a trip and whatever. Okay, there's so much going on. All right, universe, am I going to move? And I was like, if we're supposed to be moving, I will not be able to let go of pink. And if we're not moving, I won't be able to let go of blue. Well, I just couldn't get out of pink. And so I was like, okay. So I went downstairs, opened my laptop, and keep in mind, I'd been checking for 30 days straight on Craigslist looking for this new place. And I had my list, and it was just like, I want $4,000 a month. I want 4 bedrooms with an additional office, and I want a gardener included. And I literally, this place showed up on Craigslist. It said it had been on the market for 43 days. It had not, and got this house. I literally live in a $3 million house that I rent for $4,000 a month. And it was all simple. And I've realized, and maybe it's also because money is such a survival thing. Like we need money to survive in
It
this.
is.
And I think that's where kind of like my crazy is coming from, like my inner chaos, because like this is a real need, Like I don't
Mhm.
need friends necessarily to survive, but I need to pay my rent. And I've had to just look at my own like nervous system, my own internal mess, and being like, where am I not being neutral? Because when I started to just be really
Mm.
neutral about it, everything has come in and I'm making it harder, about my business. Again, like I desire to work one on one with clients in a live setting. You pay it, like my pricing is in the 4 to 5 figures a month. But that's actually how I'm designed as a projector. And I love that. But I'm literally making it harder. I don't know anybody with this much money. I don't know who's this much money available right now. We're going through a recession. There's all this craziness going on. Like, I don't know anybody who will actually just pay me and blah, blah, blah. There's always so many stories.
Mhm.
And then I go back to it and I was just like, I got a $3.5 million house for $4,000 and I simply put gardener on the, you know? And so I've had to take a look at what I do. And so, sorry, that was a very long answer to how quote unquote manifest. It's just been from a neutral, simple place. And so my
Mhm.
new become let it be simple, let it be easy. Because
Mm.
the past 2 years, that has literally been what has been such an amazing guide. And so I just rest back now, let it be simple, let it be easy. So I'll keep you posted about my millions next week.
Yes.
Let it be simple,
Keep
let
me
it be.
posted. Keep
I
us
know,
all posted.
but the bad part is that my brain keeps being like, "Pfft, it's not going to happen. Like there's sabotage in that money. So again,
Yes.
there's on. Whereas
Because it's the
literally,
conditioning, no? So that's where it's not necessarily focusing on like the blocks, but bringing the awareness to,
yeah,
okay, what do I believe about X and Y situation? And do I believe it's possible?
yeah,
Because if you do not believe it's possible, then it is not going to be possible.
yeah,
So first you have to believe it within
yeah,
yourself for it to manifest outside of it. And that's where the work is, to really get to that place. And as you're saying, being neutral and being like, okay, even if it's going to happen or not, I will be okay no matter what. And is this or something better? Like, I love that, to bring on that saying, is this or something better?
I know, because in my mind, sometimes it's like, well, it's this or it's never going to happen. And I love how you brought up the possibility. I think that's actually a really big one that I've realized is probably my biggest, being saying we don't want to talk about blocks, but my biggest block has actually been that this is possible. I
Mm.
never knew that all of this stuff was possible. You know, like I used to look at millionaires when I was a kid and be like, I would love to be wealthy, but it felt like a pipe dream until it's like, whoa, if you have the desire is meant for you and it's possible, you actually
Mm-hmm.
know how and embody it. And to me, that's wild. It's like I could attract millions of dollars, but it's like I I never knew that it could be possible for me to be a high quote unquote high end coach who makes $50,000 a month, you know? And so, but when I've started to look back at that and be like, hey, one, it's conditioning, but when I've also been able to depersonalize my nervous system and be like, it's not my authentic self, it's just my nervous system. You know, that is the programming, that is the conditioning, but it wasn't about me anymore. It was a really neutral way of looking at the stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because also ego hates to lose its grip, right? Ego just wants to protect. And so
Yes.
when I can analyze it to the ego or the nervous system, I've actually just managed to like chill out so much about
Mm.
everything. I feel so much more relaxed. It's not about me because the mind just loves to create meanings and tell me, like, oh my God, it's you and blah, blah, blah. But I literally, that was the thing. And, you know, again, going back to patriarchy or colonialism and racism, like I always felt like a second class citizen. And I realized that actually is not true. It actually has to do with colonialism and British. You know, my ancestors are Indian. So go back to the British Raj. And there's so many stories and feelings just about myself that I was just like, oh my God, none of this shit is true. And that's like wild when you start to observe all the big things that you thought. Like, I'm sure, like, you're from Romania. What are some of your stories?
Oh my God. My stories. I mean, I grew up in a very controlled, controlled system, because when I was born, that's exactly when the communism ended. So we were
Mm,
under communism right until I was born. But then, of course, the mentality and the system still carried on
mhm.
for the longest time. Like, and it probably is part of why I decided to leave, because I just felt like I cannot integrate here, especially after I saw a different world, a different way of living,
Yeah.
and just so much scarcity, so
Yeah.
much fear and control. Those were like some of the main things. And of course, there is never enough, ever.
Yeah.
And that's how I grew up. And of also the fact that my mom left when I was 14 from home in Italy to work, to provide for us, also had a big effect on the fact that
Yeah.
I I went on and I told myself, as becoming more as an adult, that I will never depend on a man financially. And I went into this hyper independence of just being in the masculine and working super hard and being ambitious, and pretty much just burning myself. Like I after I moved to US, I worked two jobs. Like I was working 14, 15 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week, because I was in that mode of I have to make it on my own. So the proving, the hyper independence and the proving, which is like a whole nother side note. And I feel like we went on for
Yeah.
an hour. So I would love to also just allow our listeners now to be able to absorb and integrate all of the amazing things we have been sharing today, which has been awesome to connect and have this beautiful conversation with you.
So good to connect about that. And I think you are doing such beautiful, amazing things. And you're again, you're not working on the blocks. It's like the opening and the possibilities. And I think that is so refreshing and much needed.
Yes, and you are doing amazing of supporting and helping others with integrating their masculine and feminine. Yes, and I'm looking forward for us to reconnect and yeah, let's keep the flow
Keep
going.
going, and people can connect with both of us through Instagram. Our details will be in there. So whatever further conversations you have, or if you want to explore this more with us on your podcast, send out the invitations. But thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining with us.
Thank you for joining us and send us your biggest insights, takeaways. We love to hear from you. Thank you for joining us. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Spiritual Changemakers podcast. To stay connected and help us reach more people like you, please subscribe, follow, and leave a comment. Join our community of spiritual changemakers on social media to connect with like-minded individuals and continue the conversation. Remember, the power to create positive change is within you. Keep showing up as your best self, and let's keep the magic of change alive. Until next time.